Hi, I'm Yinka, and this is The Hurt Locker, a podcast where we open a door into men's mental health. Come and go. Is there a sense of fear of being judged?
Big time. I think so. Oh, woo, let's do it. Doesn't matter. There's no show. There's no script. Let's have a great time. And, that is a big part of my personality, and that does work. But actually, I think it's, I think I'm quite terrified of being judged or perceived or...
What is it about that, even though you shine the spotlights on yourself?
I've absolutely butchered that bit of philosophy.
No, you haven't, but I think you spend a lot of time in your own head.
Oh, I do. God, so many people have said that to me.
You're listening to The Hurt Locker, the podcast that opens a door on men's mental health. And tonight's guest, we have Dru Cripps. Dru, welcome to The Hurt Locker.
Hello, Yinka. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. I don't usually Google people or what they do or anything like that, but for the benefits of our listeners or our watchers, who is Dru Cripps?
Oh, yeah, where to start? When I joined the screening for this, it said say a little bit about yourself, and I thought, well, that's cheeky. I'll put award-winning clown on there because I've just picked another one up whilst at the Fringe, and I thought that's funny, so I've stuck that in there.
Repeat that again. What do you do?
What do I do? I'm a clown. That's me. Clown, comedian, musical comedian, whatever people laugh at, I'll be doing it. That's my job.
And you just come back after Edinburgh Fringe. How did that go?
Yeah, it was good. I'm still technically here, but that's just because I gave myself an extra day knowing what I'd be like to sort my life out. So I'm still here. I'm actually sat in the venue because it was the quietest place I could find. But yeah, it was good. I had a really good time. I did about 80 performances in the month. Yeah.
Wow, that must have been exhausting.
Absolutely knackering. Yeah, I was all over the shop. But it also kind of nice. I've come to Fringes where I've done less, like one show a day. And sometimes I'll just like stay in my house, or wherever I'm staying. I struggle to like get out of bed and go, let's go and do it. But if I've got places to be, then it's much easier to activate myself and do more. Okay.
And how were you received then at the Fringe?
Pretty good. I think, I'd say high, well received to mixed response. So I got about 3 5-star reviews, 4 4-star reviews, 1 4.5 review, and then a couple of threes, which is good. That just means people were like, what is this?
That's impressive, though. That's impressive.
It was all right. Yeah, I was. Yeah, it's my first year letting reviewers come to the show. And
why so?
Yeah, I think in previous years, I used to say that it wasn't a space for reviewers to be in. But now that I've matured a little bit and looked back, I think what it was, I was worried about being judged rather than just entertaining people,
In what way judged?
I think having it on paper, what people's experiences were, means that, so what I do is very improvised. It's about the space and who's in the space, and each show is different and bespoke. So to have that written down and capture, for me, was a bit off-putting. But a friend of mine, Dan Lees, who's sort of like my mentor, he said to me this year, he's like, you just got to get over it and invite them because it's part of it. So I let them come. Last year I turned them away. This year they came. And yeah, it did make it difficult. The first reviewer I had in, it made me incredibly nervous to know that people were in the space, not just to be entertained, but to critique. And of course, these people want to have a nice time as well, but it really did, it messed with my headspace quite a lot. And I think that was my first review, and it was 3 stars. And I was like, okay, look, that's it now. I've got to get over that. And there'll be more of them coming. And it's about adjusting my headspace to, just perform as I want to, not necessarily just for the reviewer.
Did that cause sleepless nights?
It did. Yeah. The first reviewer in, I was really, didn't get any sleep. The knowing that they were coming in the next day. And then when they came, I felt like I gave my worst show, one of my worst shows. And I was like, oh God. And then the review came out and I was like, oh. And then knowing that that process was going to be a repeat, I just really focused on going, how can I, as an artist, just like make sure that I'm in the best headspace for these shows. And I think as it's reflective in the reviews, I think, because the higher reviews came out later when I got over the fact that I was being reviewed.
Yeah. So tell me, what got you into the artistry of being a clown, or who got you into the artistry of being a clown?
It's an interesting journey. I'd say my dad. When I was in school, I was a bit of a naughty boy, and I got thrown out twice. And on the second time around, it was a sort of semi-permanent, that's the word they use, which doesn't make sense, but semi-permanent exclusion. They kicked me out of school for 2 weeks. And instead of disciplining me, as my mum puts it, my dad took us to do improv comedy in Birmingham for the 2 weeks. And to cut a long story short, there was a chap there that was teaching us, and he was like, "You're like a clown, because the scenes are happening, but you're doing things that are naughty or pulling them apart." And he said, "You're a clown." So from then on, I went and studied that. And when I returned back to school, I now had a focus. You know, I wanted to be something performative, some sort of actor, something. So in order to get to the college that I wanted to go to, which was the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts, I had to get my maths and English GCSE. So it made me focus, and I stopped misbehaving. So it was a good intervention in it.
Okay, interesting. How old were you when you were excluded?
I think it happened twice. My memory's quite bad, but it happened twice. I think the first time it happened must have been like year 9. So I would have been whatever age that is.
Yeah, 13, 14, yeah.
That sounds about right, yeah. And then I think it happened again in year 10, moving into sort of around GCSE time, I think was the second time.
Okay. But you got your maths and your English and you came to Liverpool?
Yeah, I got all my GCSEs. I did all right GCSE-wise. I think if I was just to be honest, I don't think I was ever stupid. I just think I was nonconformist. And even though, and I also think as well, it's not fair to say that if you don't get your GCSEs, you're not stupid. It's just, you know, school is one very particular form of assessment, isn't it? And it's often like memory or, you know. So I know some very intelligent people that struggled with their GCSEs. For any listeners out there.
Before talking about Leopard and your course, how did you find Liverpool?
I loved it. I love Liverpool. I just finished a theatre tour called Tambo and Bones. And we went to Liverpool, and it was so nice to be back there. Also, up at the Fringe, I had so many people come in to the show that were from my time in Liverpool, so that was amazing. People that taught me at Lipper, or people that used to be a part of a thing called Hope Street Theatre.
I know Hope Street Theatre.
Yeah, so I was part of that as well. I did that after Lipper. So that was great, having all those familiar faces up and being like, oh, so my association with Liverpool is nothing but pure love. I love it.
Okay. So tell me about the course itself then.
What, Lipper Sixth Form?
Yeah, at Lipper.
Yeah, did that for 2 years. It was acting, and again, I had more of an introduction to clown there. I still didn't know what it was, and there was a great guy called Tim, who sort of introduced me to the more physical aspect of clown, and that was great. Really enjoyed that. And it was also at Lipper that one of the teachers, Edward Pinner, brought in a guest speaker, which was Stuart Goldsmith. And Stuart Goldsmith runs the Comedian podcast. Okay. And he gave a talk on comedy, and that was my first. And then I saw him that night as well at Hot Walk Comedy Club. Okay. And I got a memory that pops up on my Facebook, and it's a photo I've taken of Hot Walk Comedy Club, and the caption just says, "I think I want to do this," and that was like 7 years ago. Wow. Yeah, so I do remember that well. Lipper was instrumental in the journey that I've had, and Liverpool as a whole.
Okay. I read a quote, and I think you're passionate about this, that you're pissed off because they don't take the arts seriously, and you don't wish to get a proper job because you wish to make a career, a living as being a clown. Yeah,
that was... I think I've definitely said something like that before. Yeah, it was. I think it's tough. There was one of the shows that I did here a few years ago was called Dru Universal Credit, and that was about me pushing back against having to get a normal, quote unquote, normal job. And it was, yeah. I mean, when I was in Liverpool, it was great. We had, it was City of Culture, not too. Well, no, when was that? I don't want to say anything.
2008.
Yeah, so that was way before my time, but still, all of the companies that were set up off the back of that, I was still you know, me in 20 whatever was still benefiting from that, and all the great artists that were there, and making Liverpool, you know, have such a strong artistic scene, and also helping out a lot of when I was there, I felt like there was a massive support network for the artists, and then yeah, I don't know if you still get that in other cities, but Liverpool definitely, I felt like there was a real push for emerging artists to exist.
Agreed, and I think there's an edge about the city that either you get it or you don't get it. You know, but there is a community there of people, you know, that collective ideal of collaboration, of working together, of emerging talents and supporting those emerging talents.
Yeah, I love the city. It was great. It was so nice to go back. I remember when I was leaving, a friend turned to me, because I was off to East 15 in Essex, and it was just the course that I wanted to do that did acting and physical theatre. And he made a really good point. He was like, "You should stay here." He's like, "This is where your network is." And I was like, "Yeah, it's a good point." But I'm like, "I'm sure I'll return."
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. So let's take a deep dive then.
Sure.
What's in your hurt locker?
What does that mean?
Okay, so when you know about the program and what we're about being about our mental health and talking about that.
Yeah.
And I think I did read briefly something about how you explore, and it's quite cathartic in your performances of challenging what you struggle with as well.
For sure. I remember, I think I've been on a real journey with my mental health. Not a lot of it has been professional as of yet. So in terms of like therapy and stuff, but I've been very fortunate to have a really good network of people. So I've got fellow like male comedians that are older than me, and it's always good to talk to them and see that what their journey's been, sort of professional, but also just like in their more waking life, like you know, relationships and stuff like that. So it's great to have that support network. And then I had a partner, we're still very close, and she used to say things to me where I was like, you know what, you've hit the nail on the head. So she used to talk to me about, what did she say? She used to say like, oh, you know, people will still love you if you're not being funny. She's like, you can still be loved and not be funny. And you know, I think for me, I'm having a relationship shift with my artistry and what it means to me and what I want to do with it. And a big part of that is mental health, I think. You know, being like, it's quite a challenge, I think, with what I do, where I step up on stage and there's not necessarily jokes or anything guided, and it's all emotion driven. Just like how I feel on the day and what we're exploring, that always comes up in my work. And what I've been becoming more comfortable with recently is going, you know what, I don't feel great today. And let's explore that. Let's try and have fun with that. Not dismissing it or taking the mick out of it. I'm like, let's just push that. Sometimes anger, I can get a lot of laughs sometimes for being angry, and playing around with anger. Just one of the shows that we had here, it's become a favorite clip amongst my peers of one of my shows. The power cut out in the venue, everything went out, and it's just it's a video of me being mock anger. Like I open the door and I go, "What's going on?" like that, and just me screaming got the audience laughing because I'm sharing with them my genuine frustration, but like in a playful way. So yeah, I don't know, a bit of waffle, but it's been a journey, I think, and bringing sort of how I feel into the space so people can bring however they feel into the space, I think.
That feels challenging, but brave at the same time.
Yeah, I think a few people have called it brave. For me, it's like it's more comfortable for me now. It's like it's more exciting, but it's also what I know best. I think for me, a challenge would be sitting down and writing something and then giving it to people like, I hope you like this because I've spent a long time working on it, rather than what I've been working on, which is just facilitating us. The practice has gone in facilitating the space and facilitating people and channeling either how they feel and how I feel. That's been the practice. But I think there's real challenge in what other comics do, where, you know, they dip into their own lives and they write their jokes and then they present the thing and they hope people enjoy it. I think that's pretty brave as well. It's just a different way of doing it, I think.
Have you struggled with your mental health in the past?
Yeah, big time. I think when I was 19, my 19th birthday was tough. I had what they referred to as an episode, where I ended, the situation ended with me in a ward, talking to two doctors. And essentially what had happened is I'd hit 19. I think I'd finished my studies. I think, no, it was going to go off. My memory's so poor. Essentially, I was just super down. I think I broke up with my long-term girlfriend. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I think I was working at Wetherspoons, which I don't recommend for anyone's mental health. And I took myself off and I went to one of the highest peaks in my town, and it's snowing, it's thick snow. And people were just super worried about me. And I was found, and they were like, oh, was it an attempt on your life? And I was like, I don't know. I just wanted to just go off into the forest, so I did. They didn't deem me in any danger to myself or them, and I didn't either, so they let me go. But it is a point I look back on in my life where I go, yeah, that could have gone badly. You know, I hadn't eaten. It was like very cold, thick snow, and I just had like t-shirt and trousers on. I was in thick snow in a mountain for like a couple hours, but I didn't get hypothermia or anything. Anyway, I think that's probably, in terms of like mental health, that's probably been the biggest struggle I've had. And then the rest of it's, I'm older now and more in control of it all. But I think 19, I think that was a real struggle. And then once I've, it's through, I think it's directionless. I think it's dangerous for young men to have no ambition or direction. Ambition, or purpose, somewhere to go, something to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that for me personally, that's what it was. I was like, I have nothing. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I want to do. I don't have anything. And then when it was like, the comedy or making people laugh, or I just think, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, but I think if young men don't have something to either provide or shoot for or go towards or seek pleasure in or build or develop or fix, I think that's when we struggle. I think at least that's what it was for me. I didn't have anything to do, and then I became like a shell of a young man rather than someone that wants to do stuff.
It's interesting you saying that, because I heard many years ago a well-known actor talk about that specific thing, and he said young men, particularly coming out of school, the one thing that gets to them that affects their mental health is thwarted ambitions. And not having the focus or the direction clearly impacts your mental health in a way.
I don't know how much society still tells men that they are providers or must be a certain way.
It still does.
Yeah, I think so.
Still does.
So I think
how do we change that?
I think there's lots of conversations happening at the minute about gender roles, alleviating of societal pressures on gender. I think that will probably smooth things out perhaps, but I also don't know how much of it is, like with all things, self-ingrained. No one was telling me that I had to do much other than my mum telling me to get out of my bed, instead of just laying there for days on end. But it was internalized. So I think as we become a more switched on people, I suppose maybe that's the hope, that we start to unpick that as a society of the world, to be kinder to ourselves, I suppose.
Can I ask, what's your relationship like with your mum and dad?
Yeah, I don't talk to them much anymore. I still love them both. I love my dad especially. My mum has some problems that I probably won't go into here for her own privacy. Yeah, no, I know. It's just so that's difficult, but I think she is making the necessary steps. I think it's one of those things where she can only help herself, and I think for my own mental health, I've had to step away from that after,
Yes.
a few years of trying to help. And I think my siblings have done the same, but we're all proud of her and we all love her. And, I think it does make it difficult, I think, as a young man, having like a sort of non-existent relationship with your mom. And because of that, I can't really see my dad too much. So that makes it difficult. But I think there was something she said not too long ago, one of the last times I spoke to her, which she was like, she's sad and she misses us, but she's happy that all of us are off doing our own thing, and that we seem happy and we seem like we're getting the lives that we want, because then she knows that she's done enough,
Yeah.
So I think
are you getting the life that you want?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm relatively happy, I'd say. I think life with no challenges is a bit boring. So when there's some challenge, I'm like, oh, sometimes I run towards it. Sometimes I'm like, please, God, no. But at least it keeps it exciting. Yeah, I think so. This Fringe has made me feel like what I do is viable, and that the life choices I'm making are viable, and that I can keep on kind of doing what it is that I want to do. I have a lot of great artist friends around me that have been going much longer than I have, from sort of different pockets of existence. So I've been very lucky to work with a circus company, a theatre company, so like actors and stuff, and then other comedians, and then people on cabaret scenes. And it's so interesting to talk to these people. And what's really lovely is the circus people go, we really think you should focus on circus stuff. They'd be great, they'd love you in Germany and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I talk to the theatre people and they're like, hey man, you should talk to this agent and we can get this acting thing. And I'm like, that's lovely, because it seems wherever I go, there's these little families that exist. Nice. And all of them are there to sort of, they want to help. And I go, that's lovely. So currently I'm 25 and I sort of sit at this point where I'm like, I don't know, more of that one. It'll be whoever, whatever falls into place is where I'll go. But I'm just happy that it feels like I'm not going to be stagnant at any point. Something will happen. So that's nice.
Okay. So what's next for you after this Fringe?
I've got a few things that might happen. I guess that's where I am right now. I'm like, this might happen, that might happen. A producer came to the show. He's like, if you want to talk about getting this on tour or whatever, talk to me. So I might talk to that gentleman. A cruise ship was like, we like what you do. We're considering you for cruise ships. I'm like, well, that's 25. I haven't got a family or any responsibilities. I'll go off on a cruise ship for a couple of months. So it's just things like that. I literally have no clue. Something will happen, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna just get a normal job for a little bit, which is also fine.
What's a normal job then?
I don't know, just anything that's not this crazy nonsense. Just something that makes sense. Like I spoke to a chap that came to my show who's seen me perform before, and he's a friend of a friend, and the Barbican Centre in London. He was like, if you want to do some shifts there, let me know. So I'm like, great. Well, I'm not going to be, scrambling around for money. There's something I can do. Something will happen. And it's that optimism I think you just have to keep, isn't it? Something will fall in place. And then often it does.
Can I just go back to when you were 19 and you had that challenging period in your life? Did you talk to your dad about it?
It was my dad that actually found me. So he came and found where I was, and then got me out of the situation I was in. I was sort of non-verbal. I think I hadn't eaten anything and was, So, I don't know. We've not really spoken about it since, but I don't think we've needed to. There's a lot of, I'd say, undiagnosed mental health in my family. But I'm very close to my siblings, and that's been lovely as a support network for us to, now that we're all adults, to come together and go, what do we think about this? And is this okay? And no, I'm a bit like this and you're a bit like that because of this event. And we go, oh, okay, cool. So that sort of mutual understanding and going about it very with love, but also very pragmatically, I think has sorted us all out as young adults. I think.
You said you hadn't professionally received any support. Are you against therapy?
I'm not against therapy at all. And I have to be careful what I say, because it's much like the review thing. where like when I didn't let the reviewers in, I was like, it's because I don't want them in the space. And now that I've matured a little bit, I was like, no, I was frightened of what they had to say. So now I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm definitely not against therapy, but I do find it interesting to learn more about myself independently and with the support of others, and to search what the meaning means for me. But it is on my to-do list. It's just at the moment I am enjoying unpacking it all bit by bit and doing that sort of as a young adult now. So, it's something nice about doing that independently. I feel like I can definitely go and sit with a professional and have them really help me with it, but it's like there's something nice, especially in my ethos, of sometimes getting it wrong and then going, no, it's not that, it's this. Go, oh, okay, cool, and unpacking that. But I think it's on the cards. Maybe after this conversation, I'll book my first one in.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
It feels to me that you're rarely, even though you're an artist and you like to perform, you're a very private person.
I am a little bit, yeah. A few people have said that to me, that I'm like a closed book, and I go, that's correct. It's not. It does make sense. Yeah. I like to keep to myself.
Is that out of fear or a lack of trust?
I don't know.
Do you trust easily?
No, super skeptical all the time. When things were going well here and I was getting these good reviews, it was very easy for me to dismiss them. So
Why,
when the people,
why so?
don't know, just I think I'm skeptical, and I think I'm also my toughest critic. People often say to me that I'm very hard on myself. But yeah, I am quite private, and I do keep myself to myself. There's been a few people that I've been very fortunate to meet in my life that I feel like they know me better than I know myself. And it's with those people that I'm the most open. And I think it's really important. And I'm very grateful that I have access to that, that those people exist and are around me. Because my life would be a hell of a lot worse, I think, had I not met those people. But yes, I am very selective, very not forthcoming with information at all. I have had friends come up to me and go, I didn't know that happened. And I was like, yeah, just getting on with it, cracking on with it,
Let's go back to your artistry. Who are your heroes?
I really like they're probably not going to be big famous names. I always try and give two answers for this. So people that people would have heard of. So I quite like Reggie Watts. I quite like Spencer Jones. And both those gentlemen have been on the TV, so they're easy to look up. But in terms of like the people I really look up to, they're around me in my immediate circles. So okay. Rob Duncan does some amazing shows that are also, he really embraces what we call the flop in clown, where things go wrong and you sit in it and the laughter comes from it going badly. He's a master of the flop. So Rob Duncan. Dan Lees is like my mentor. He's great. I've gained two new heroes this Fringe, which was working with A&E Comedy. That's Abigail and Emma. They employed me this Fringe to do their show. They're wonderful idiots. I'll probably be working with them again at some point. Nathan from Sophie Surprise 29th. He's a personal hero of mine because he's great. He's that whole company are brilliant. So I think they're my heroes, people that I'm like around now, and they've just been going much longer than I have. So I can look at what they're doing and go, they very kindly let me into their circles and into their house, and I feel very at home in their company. So they're my heroes, domestic heroes. They're right in front of me. Which all of those people and people I haven't mentioned. My dad as well. My dad's my hero. I think he's a legend.
Why?
Just because he had a difficult start in life, and I think he's done a wicked job, and I'm fully grateful of the man I am today because of my father's intervention and input. And he's still today, so he's a dancer and a performer as well. He hasn't had the same opportunities that I've had, so I'm super grateful for him. He now teaches children with severe needs And I've managed to witness that. I was actually in my hometown. We were walking down the street, and some parents stopped us, and they thanked him in the street. Essentially, there was a child that he was working with that wouldn't eat, and the is only young, and the child was due to have an operation where they could be fed through a tube. And my dad caught wind of that, and he was like, I think his word was, I have to get this baby to eat. It's not a baby, but
Yes.
that's, my dad was always a wonderful father. And when I saw him around these kids at school, really I was watching him be just a great dad, So he managed to get this boy to eat food, and the parents were, super grateful. They're in tears because they didn't want their child to have to have an operation. Absolutely. And so it's that, I think he's a hero. He's my hero, and I'm sure he's other people's hero, because it's things like that that is making a difference. If I can have people come into my show and laugh, obviously it's ego. That's for me. I enjoy that. But if I can take someone from being like, ugh, and then having a great time, brilliant. And it doesn't have to be shows. Sometimes I do that in my waking life, just seeing someone. There was a fellow performer here that was often a bit stressed before her show, and I just found myself constantly gravitating towards her before her show, and I realized what I was doing was trying to cheer her up. I was like, I always bump into her at the worst time, but I was like, no, I can see that she's stressed, and I would float over and be like, hello, like that, and that yeah. So I think I'm like my dad in that respect. Yeah.
When was the last time you told them you loved them?
They came down, they came up. They always surprise me at the Fringe. That always stresses me out.
Nice.
But
Nice.
Yeah, they came up, and I saw them, and I think I took them for breakfast, because I've had a very good Fringe this year. So I think last year they came and they took me for breakfast. This year I took them for breakfast. I think it would have been there. I hope it would have been then. I'm sure when I gave them a hug and a kiss, it would have been I love you, goodbye. I'm sure. But if it's not, I'll double check after this.
Okay. Yeah. Just going back again, staying with your artistry. Growing up as a child, I always used to have this persona that clowns, they're there to be on stage. They're there to make people laugh, but within their heart, a bit like the Smokey Robinson song, Tracks of My Tears. Is there any truth to that?
I'm aware of that. It does make me laugh. I've had people say that to me. But I don't know. I think so. Sometimes I keep looking over there because I'm literally looking at the venue that I'd step out of that door when the show was done. And I saw a clip of me. Someone just was recording the end. I had a lovely standing ovation. People really enjoyed the show. And the second I left the container, my face just dropped, just like that. And I didn't think the show was that good. And I was already in my head trying to process the show and unpicking things and going, oh, that wasn't, that felt a bit flat, blah, blah, blah. And there were people coming out of the container going, thank you so much. And I was, shaking their hands. Yeah, thanks, blah, blah, blah. But I have somewhere video evidence of someone showed me. I think it was on someone's story, so now it's gone. But just watching my face just drop like that after the show. Now, it could have been exhaustion, but I also think, it's a little bit of that mask, Even though what I'm presenting on stage is no mask. It's like super vulnerability. It's like, here I am.
Absolutely.
It's like, well, once I don't have to do that anymore, and it's like, well, how do I feel now that the fun is over or the show is done? It was a very like, ooh. But that's like 20 shows in, so I was probably just knackered. But yeah, I think there's a bit of that. Do I look at my clown friends and see a bit of that? Yeah, I think we all do. I mean, I don't even think it's just clowns, I think it's comics. I think it's anyone that is doing that, chasing laughter. Someone said once, what did they say? They said there has to be something wrong with you to be doing this, which I think sort of unites us all. But yeah, perhaps.
I know you said you've got a network and that, but at the same time, is it lonely? Yeah,
for sure. I was talking to another, I'm sure she won't mind me sharing this. I was talking to another great clown performer. She was packing up her props, Elf Lions, and what she say to me? I said, we're talking about tours. She's just done her tour, either of all three of her shows or just the one, can't remember. She's talking about a tour, and I was like, I've just done the tour with the theatre company. And I said it was lovely because we all shared a house and we were around each other and we'd go for drinks and we'd hang out, and that was nice. And I was like, I'd love to do a tour of my own stuff one day, but I said, but I think my fear would be that I'd feel quite lonely. And she just said, I'm often on my own. That's all she said. And she said, I'm in a sort of way that she's like, and that's fine. But I mean, now, like even now, and in between gigs, even though I was doing a lot, yeah, there's big periods of just being on your own, and you have to be super comfortable with yourself, because I think as a comic, a lot of it is in here. It exists in here, and you have to be super comfortable with that. Like I'm aware I'm quite good at overanalyzing things. So with that skill of analysis, I've had to make sure that it's a fair analysis. So I catch myself often now going, I'm doing a lot of analysis right now. And I go, oh, that's a good point. I'm like, should we chill out a little bit? That's the conversation I have in my head. Like, remember we said we weren't going to get stressed about stuff? And I go, yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I think it can be super duper lonely.
How do you relax then? How do you have fun when you're not performing?
Yeah, I think that's tough because the performance is the fun. It is the good fun. Another performer, Alex Kitson, said to me, I think you're the king of naps. He caught me on Arthur's Seat. We all went up to Arthur's Seat, and he caught me having a nap up there. And we shared this venue space, and he saw me just like asleep in the corner. So in terms of how do I relax, I sleep. I just go, this is enough, fall asleep. Yeah, I was getting little power naps in across the Fringe. Highly recommend them. Otherwise, I'm quite into chess. I'm getting into chess. I think that's brilliant.
Are you?
I am. I've started getting into chess.
Don't talk to me about do blitz chess.
Are you good at chess? That's what I do. I do the 3-2, where you get an additional 2 seconds when you move. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that one. I just do the 3-minute chess. So it's just so addictive. It's naughty. Yeah. It's naughty. It's the killer of time.
It is. The amount of games of chess I play in the day is crazy. I've already played like 3 today, I think.
Okay.
But I used to be big into games. It was a good way of escaping when I was younger. Like, I'd have a bad day at school, I'd come back and I'd sit on my Xbox like many teenagers did. But then one day I was like, oh, if it's, there must be chess, It just seems like if I'm going to be doing it, I may as well do something that's been proven to aid different parts of your brain and tacticalness or whatever. At least that's what I tell myself. But now I'm just like, oh, it's just a replacement for Call of Duty or whatever.
What have your siblings thought of your success?
They're very supportive. They're very lovely. I think they actually, so the day that my family came down to watch the show, that was my least favorite show of the entire Fringe. I had about 60 people in a 45-seater venue. Wow. On top of that is all the people that I mentioned before, in the other groups of supportive people. And I just did my least favorite. I spiraled. I had a real mental health crash. And I think it comes back to that fear of being, a bit like the reviewers. It's like, these are people that I know, and however this goes, they'll remember it. And when I see them, that's how even though they're supportive people, it's ingrained in their memory. I won't be able to escape it, which is weird because when there's no one in that I know, I don't think about that. I just go, let's entertain these people. It doesn't matter. Let's have a great time. And we have a great time. But when so that was the worst. I had my family in. I had my ex-girlfriend in. I had ex-employees in. I had the producer for one of the other venues in that I know. And all these people in. And I just looked out in this packed room and I was like, oh God, I went all sweaty and I couldn't see anything, blurry vision. And people were coming up to me afterwards. Oh, I ran away. I finished the show and I ran off. All these people had come to see me and I ran off. I was like, I can't face them. This has been the worst thing ever. And I feel a bit bad about that. I wish I sort of dusted myself off and went, they're all your friends and people they're ready to receive you. Who better to die in front of than, be surrounded by family and friends?
Absolutely. Is there a sense of fear of being judged?
Big time. Yeah, I think so. For sure. And and having that remain, Yeah, I think so. I do fear judgment. Yeah, someone said it to me once. I was like, that sounds very true. Someone says that I've built up this sort of carefree, oh, woo, let's do it. Doesn't matter. There's no show. There's no script. Let's have a great time. And, that is a big part of my personality, and that does work. But actually, I think it's, I think I'm quite terrified of being judged or perceived or.
What is it about that, even though you shine the spotlights on yourself?
I don't know. I wonder if it's ego. I think it's probably ego. So when, I was talking to someone that studies philosophy at a very high level, and they were saying that it's all about perception. So are we who everyone else perceives us to be, or are we who we believe that we are? And why are we drawn towards people's perceptions of us? So she was saying that when partnerships form that work well, it's because you enjoy leaning into the perception that you believe that person sees you as. And that blew my mind. Didn't make sense the first time she said it. And I don't know which philosopher.
Now.
Doesn't make sense now.
No, doesn't it?
No, it's about recognition. I'm butchering it. Don't worry, she won't watch this. But it's about recognition. So, for example, I might during this conversation be me. I'm being me, but I might lean into a different type of me that I believe that your expectations are of me.
Okay.
So, in terms of bringing it back to the fear and judgment thing, if I have in the room people that employed me in the past, I might be like, these people must think that I am good, or should they ever employ me again? And I'm trying to lean into that type of recognition.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the inside me is going, am I good enough for this? Am I meeting their perceptions of me? What are their perceptions of me? Whereas if it's strangers that I don't know,
it doesn't
strangers
matter.
that I don't know, I'm not judging them, and they're not judging me. It's fine. So I guess it's that. I think that's where it comes back to. I've absolutely butchered that bit of philosophy.
No, you haven't. But I think you spend a lot of time in your own head.
Oh, I do. God, so many people have said that to me. So many people have said that to me. Yeah, I do. Yeah. That's why I enjoy doing what I do, because I can't be in my head. I have to be
Absolutely.
on
You
my
have to be
toes.
present, yes.
Oh, yeah, big time. Yeah.
Can I ask you, who's the most important person in your life? You can only pick one person.
Gosh, that's tough. That would probably be my ex-partner that I still talk to.
Okay. That you still talk to?
We still talk to. I split up with her about 2 years ago, but I've still seen her since.
Okay. What if I said you were wrong? What if I said the most important person in your life is you?
Oh, I already spent too much time thinking about him. Yeah.
How does that feel?
I do struggle with that a little bit.
Go on.
I don't know.
If I continue, you're the most important person in your life because you're the expert of you. You know what makes yourself happy. You know what makes yourself sad. And only by attending to your needs first and foremost can you be fully there for the people who you love and care for, such as your dad, your ex-girlfriend. And imagine this. Imagine if you took care of business for you first. Imagine how much more richer and textured and layered that love and care would be for those people who are important in your life.
That's a good point. Yeah, I do struggle with that. Yeah. It's probably therapy then, isn't it? Yeah, communicate. Probably need to invest some time. I go to the gym, but I think that's again, it's another not quite doing the thing, half doing the thing. Some self-care.
Self-care.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I think, do I look after myself? Yeah, I think I do.
You think?
Enough. He's all right. He's all right. I do enough. He's all right.
Okay. Here's a question for you. Are you enough?
Am I enough?
Yes.
I don't know, because already that doubt started to set in when I was doing the show. I was like, oh, I need to make sure I do this again after the Fringe, take it somewhere else. And already it's day one, it's just finished, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, is it good enough? And would people enjoy it? And I started picturing people coming out to a theatre, and they've gone out for dinner beforehand, and they've bought tickets, and they arrive at the show and they're like, this will be good. And then I just started thinking, but there's technically no show. There's an experience, that is it enough? Is it enough, and am I enough? That was the first thing I started to think. And I did tell myself that was the goal. And I was reminding myself throughout the run, I was like, this is going really well. Make sure you do it again. And then I was like, well, is it enough? It's very easy for me to start comparing other people that will go on to do it in other places. But I was asking myself that, is it enough to do that?
Well, you've had 80 shows.
Yeah.
Doesn't that say something?
Yeah.
You've won another award. Doesn't that tell you something?
Yeah. Yeah. I
was going to say, I think it's always interesting how we focus on the negative aspects of things and never on the successful, meaningful, purposeful parts of what we do and achieve.
Yeah, I stopped myself then when you said, oh, you've won another award. I was very quick in my head. I stopped myself, but I was going to put it down. I was going to be like, yeah, but it's not this one or that one or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's I don't know if I'm always like this. I just think it's because I have just done 80 shows. So I might just be. I know my mental health definitely follows, as with most people's probably. It follows my energy levels and my physical body.
Absolutely.
If I'm knackered, then I'm like.
Have you ever experienced burnout?
I think so. I was saying during this run, I refer to it as crash out. Where I just go, if I'm going down, I go down like a ball of flames. I was doing a gig and I had a reviewer in my show and she didn't really like the show. She gave it 3 stars. And then I went to the next show to do just a gig, just a spot. And I saw her in the audience. And I was just like, oh my God. And I was tired and I was doing the headline spot. And I'd actually so I did my show with that reviewer in. Then a friend rang me and said, can you come and open our show? We've had a dropout. So I ran down there and did that. And that show went fine, but my energy levels were just already, I could feel it coming down and down and down. I'd had a bad show here. And then my friend was like, can you come and headline? So I was like, cool. I ran over. I saw the lady. She saw me. I was like, oh, I'm going to try and not perceive whatever her face just did as I walked up on the stage. And the first person I started to interact with and talk to was the girlfriend of the guy that was running the show. And I wasn't very sensitive because I just run there. I wasn't very sensitive. I asked her what she did and she said she was like an emergency veterinary nurse. So I just flippantly went, oh yeah, killing hamsters. I just like, whatever, just throw it out there. And her whole face dropped. Her mum put her arm around her like that. And she went, actually, no, I'm sick of getting that. I get that all the time. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I just got here. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the first thing that left my mouth. But so then I announced to the stage. I was like, I was like, right, this is going to be. Let's try and make this as bad as we can. I was like, who else can I offend? I was like, let's do it. No, it was fine in the end. I was quite proud of myself that even though I was tired, I took that from being a very rough and rocky start to bringing them back on side. So I made sure I celebrated that win afterwards and was not critical of myself at all because it's like, you do it, you're already being too critical.
Good.
But it was fun.
So after this podcast, you go back to where you go back to. And then your old self knocks on the door. You open it. What do you say to him? You know, you've
This-
sighed a few times when I've asked you certain questions.
It makes me, sometimes you say things, it makes me like shiver a little bit down my back. I go, oh, because it's,
Go on, why?
I don't know. I think I struggle sometimes with being open and vulnerable
Okay.
emotionally.
Okay.
We used to have a saying in my house, we're growing up, which was don't take up my time with your bullshit. That was the jokey expression in my house. So yeah, I don't know if I've got it directly from my parents, but it's like talking about yourself in a sort of emotional way and being off. It's not. It makes me go, ugh. I think that's why I over intellectualize everything. Anyway.
Yes. Anyway, 9-year-old self is still
9-year-old. Sorry, mate. Come in. I think I'm going to say the same thing that every older person has said to me, which has been really useful, and I keep coming back to it. And now I say it to everyone else, which is keep going. That's it. No more, no less. Just keep going. And I think that's true. The only reason that I've had a good fringe and picked up these awards and blah, blah, blah is because I've just kept going. That's it. Just keep on keeping on. Maybe I'd say be gentle to yourself if I had more time, but I like the poeticness of keep going. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would it be if you were more gentle to yourself?
Come in. Do you want a cup of tea? Oh, you don't drink tea. Yeah, age 9. God, what was I doing? I was angry. I was a very angry child. Really angry.
Okay. Why? It's not a therapy session.
No, I know. I used to just have a lot of rage. I used to be so angry. I used to fight all the time. I used to break things. A lot of rage. I think I'd be really taken aback if I met 9-year-old me. I'm just picturing a very angry boy. I don't know if he is angry or not. I must have been chill at some point during age 9. Probably just give him a hug. Time to chill out a little bit.
Put the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. Give him a hug. I worked with a really good movement teacher called Steph. She worked at East 15, and we did a to anyone that's not done it, it's going to sound really strange, but we did a session where she dimmed the lights and we did sort of breathe in, sort of yogic type practice. And then she brought all of these things out, like large balls and like blankets and sort of playful sounds that were to like evoke childhood, essentially. And yeah, we would do it. It was all playful. We were having a really giddy time. It was very giddy. I remember being very excited. We were like doing lots of movement exercises and stuff. And then towards the end of the session, I just totally dropped out of it, couldn't move, went a bit catatonic, like didn't speak or anything. And she was very good. She came straight over, she put a pillow under my head, put a blanket on me like that. And I was crying. And she knew what to say right there and then. She said, child, the child that you've just met, as in me, she said, you can look after them now. That's what she said. She said, everything that you needed back then that made you cry today, she's like, you're able to look after them now. And she rubbed the small on my back, and then she turned the lights off and she left me in there. I had a little nap, and I woke up and went back to school. But it was a very emotional experience. And I was like, oh, whatever happened there triggered something in me that reminded me of being that very angry sort of, because I couldn't speak. And that's what I used to do. I used to get very angry and not talk or articulate. Now I don't shut up. But yeah, so that probably, I hope.
The body keeps the score.
Does, yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Dru, how have you found it being on the Hurt Locker?
Good. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I think it's genuinely, I'm like, oh yeah, it was on the to-do list to get some therapy, and I think this has been really useful. Even though that's not necessarily the intention, but to bring those things up, and also a nice way to end my fringe, because I think this has been positive, and it's been real, and I like that. So thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. You can come back anytime.
Thank you very much. I'll come back. What's it called? Unraveled.
Unraveled. Okay.
Unraveled. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll see you in 20 years.
That sounds like avoidance.
Yeah. Well, I got a bit of that as well. Yeah.
Dru, Cripps, thank you for being our guest on the Hurt Locker.
Thank you very much for having me.